Access control and inheritance. A derived class can access all the non-private members of its base class. So this is important. Derived class can access all the non-private members. So if it is private, actually we discussed it in the class. If it is private, still it will not be accessed. So that's why the protected is used, because private members cannot be accessed outside of the class. Even if it is a derived class, it doesn't matter. Thus, base class members that should not be accessible to the member functions of derived classes should be declared private in the base class. So if we want to make it some members that not accessible by the derived class, we have to make them private. So otherwise, in any way, they can have access. Okay. So we can summarize the different access types according to who can access them in the following way. So in same class, so if we are in same class, means members of the class. Doesn't matter if they public, protected, or private. Inside the class, they are accessible. The derived classes means we have a base class, but we created a derived class. Derived classes can have access to the base class if it is public, of course, if it is protected, but they cannot be accessed if they are private. So, by the way, you don't need to memorize it. You can just simply think about it, and you can just decide if it is accessible or not. Outside classes means not derived. I mean, the classes relationship is not base and derived. Outside classes, we can say unrelated to classes. So we can access access the public member of a class from outside of the class. But if it is protected or private, we cannot access. Actually, I told you before that a protected class is like a private class when we are just trying to reach it from an unrelated class or object. So this should be very clear. Okay, a derived class inherits all base class methods with the following exceptions. So derived class inherits all base class methods, but we have some exceptions, like constructors, destructors, and copy constructors of the base class. We didn't see copy constructor yet. You don't need to think about that for now. But for constructor and destructor, it means if we don't create an object for the base class, this constructor and destructors that it is written in base class, they will not be executed. Also, overloaded operators of the base class, we didn't see as well yet the overloaded operators, so just know it like that, but you don't need to think about that yet. And the friend functions of the base class, we saw friend functions. So if a friend function is defined inside the base class, it is not inherit to the derived class that features. So just we have to memorize that. Okay, the other topic is type of inheritance. When deriving a class from a base class, the base class may be inherited through public, protected, or private inheritance. The type of inheritance is specified by the access specifier as explained above. So actually it is saying, the type of, okay, we inherited, this is my base class, but am I going to have public inheritance, protected inheritance, or private inheritance? What kind of inheritance am I going to do? But we hardly use protected or private inheritance, and we are using public inheritance, generally. So public inheritance means when deriving a class from a public base class, public members of the base class become public members of the derived class, and protected members of the base class become protected members of the derived class. A base class's private members are never accessible directly from a derived class, but can be accessed through calls to the public and protected members to the base class. So we have to choose generally the public inheritance. And the protected and private inheritance, actually it is much more limited. Let me to read them. Protected inheritance: when deriving from a protected base class, public and protected members of the base class become protected members of the base class. So actually it is not changing the type of the inheritance so much, because when it is protected we can still have access. And private inheritance: when deriving from a private base class, public and protected members of the base class become private members of the derived class. So actually in this case it is much more complicated to reach to the derived class, base class, sorry. So for now I just advise you to use public inheritance, and then if future we need it, we can use it. For example, here also, as you see, in derived class we used public shape, which means public, we can say that the type of the members in base class will be as it is. The access modifiers will not change when you use public. It means if this table is public, it is public for derived. If this one is protected, it is protected. If we have any private, it is private. So it is very clear and simple to use it like that. Okay. Let's continue to multiple inheritance. A C++ class can inherit members from more than one class, and here is the extended syntax. So let's say our derived class is this. So the access modifier, I mean public, private, or protected, which I said that public is the best for this time. So base A, and again access modifier base B, and it can be more. Bases means base class name, so we can create more than one base class. Sorry, we can make a derived class which inherited from more than one base class. As I told you, access is one of public, protected, or private, means this one, and would be given for every base class, and they will be separated by comma. So this is the syntax. So they are separating by comma, and we have this example I'm going to explain.